is Keeping Up the Conversation, an unscripted podcast. And now, here's your hosts, Tori and Big Ken. Follow Keeping Up the Conversation on Facebook at KUTC Live.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Miss Tori, and you better be tuned into KUTC Live, presented by Black Line Magazine, and this is my super duper co-host, Big Ken. What's up, Big Ken?
Hi.
No. Mm-mm.
Hello.
So, you want to hear something that Ken, I don't know. I'm such a geek,
Well, we know
But
that.
but today, do you know that I have been watching CNN since Monday?
Oh my gosh.
And I know we're not supposed to talk about this, but listen. So I've been watching CNN since Monday. I woke up, I'm a newsie, so I woke up early this morning and I stopped watching CNN just before I came into the studio to start. Yeah. So anyway, I know we're not supposed to be talking about that. How about we talk about something else? Okay, how about this? I know who's not going to the Super Bowl. I know my Dallas Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl.
Wow. That's how we gonna start
That's
this?
gonna be the hot topic. They're
Oof.
not. That's the hot topic. My Cowboys aren't going, and and
Oh
neither are the
man.
New England Patriots. And I actually like Cam Newton.
Yeah, that's a rough deal for him. I think to have the struggles that he had prior to coming to New England and then being thrust into that fire, because when you go to New England, they're used to winning. And that
Oh yeah,
organization is used to winning. Their fans are used to winning. So when you go in
yeah.
there and you're not winning, it's a problem.
Oh yeah, and I think that it was also, I think after the first loss, I know I watched a couple of videos of him before he even went to New England, and he was talking about how they're not ready, not New England, but the world's not ready for him, but he's going to show them. And then after the first and second loss, you started seeing him getting a little bit more humble, and then I think that maybe towards the end, when they knew that they weren't even going to like the playoffs or anything, I think that he kind of knew not only was it the end of the road for him, but it was the end of the road for the New England Patriots. And I wonder if he feels like it's because of him that that winning streak is snapped.
Well,
It's
I mean, you got to look at it this way. Number one, he comes into an offense that's a system. That's a
right.
system, and we've known for a long time that's the New England Patriots have a system, and their great head coach has this system.
Yeah.
But the question has always been: is it the system or is it Tom Brady? Did Tom
And
Brady make the system great, or was the system great? Because when a couple years ago, when Garofalo came in as a backup, when Tom Brady was out injured, the team kept clicking, and the system looked amazing because
right.
Garofalo was able to come in and pick up the torch and just keep running. But they also had a different set of wide receivers. The line
Oh
was a
yeah.
little bit better. So, when it comes to that, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Certain players just don't work out, certain teams, certain systems, and it's not to say that player is not good. It's just that wasn't the fit for them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was gonna say. I think that Cam Newton, by all accounts, he's a great QB, but I also think that just wasn't the right fit. That wasn't the right
Yeah,
system for
yeah.
him. It just, no matter what people say, I'm gonna always believe that, yeah, Cam Newton was good when he was good, but no matter what, I just don't think that the Patriots was, or was he hasn't been released yet, is a good, a good fit for him, but you know. Nevertheless, the playoffs
Okay.
start this Saturday and Sunday, right? I know you're going to talk
Yeah,
about college.
yeah, I'm gonna get to that. But see, these are the teams that we started with. Nice little
Uh-huh.
set, and here's where we currently are with the Seahawks. Kind of surprisingly, they got eliminated. Chicago's out. The
Yeah.
Washington football team is out.
Dallas
Tennessee
Cowboys,
Titans.
they were never in.
See, here you
I'm
go. Here
sorry.
you
I
go
just,
with that.
I just want
See,
to say that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the
Continue your
Steelers,
spiel. I'm sorry. I'm
the
sorry.
Steelers are out. The
Isn't
Steelers
that
lost to the
crazy?
Browns. The guys were talking a bunch of noise. Not a good look. So,
Yeah.
but that's what the playoffs are about. Whatever sport it's in, there's always the uncertainty. And as in football, the old saying goes, any given Sunday. So when you
Yeah.
lace them up, and you go out there on that field, you could win, you could lose. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, that's just part of that. And yeah, it's just going to be, I think we got some of the best games coming up, though.
Coming up. Oh yeah. And you
So,
know where I'll be in front and right, sitting right front and center. And at the end of the day, I'm really hoping that no matter what, it's I gotta go for the Ravens. I just feel like Lamar Jackson, he has a lot to prove, and he started, he kind of shut the naysayers up, this past weekend. But I just hope when he goes into and they face the Buffalo Bills, you got Josh Allen just like Lamar Jackson ready to win.
yeah.
So
It's gonna be a good matchup, but I'm
yeah.
looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to this weekend. It was what I call the old man bowl.
Uh-oh, here we
Tom
go.
Brady versus Drew Brees.
Yeah, that's gonna
Those are
be a
two
good
good
one.
teams, but those are two of the guys that are considered, the GOAT candidates of quarterback in
Yes.
football.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're nearing the end of their careers. Both, I don't expect to see any longer than maybe the end of this season or maybe
Especially
another
Drew
season.
Brees. Yeah, yeah.
Either one of them, because Drew Brees is not bad. He's injured,
Yeah.
and Tom Brady
Yeah.
is just kind of old. He's not Tom Brady who you
Hey,
want. But I'm
yeah,
just saying, you want to
he
get
lost
out before you get
steps.
that injury. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? You
Yeah.
want to get out before you do that. So I really think, and I say this and mark my words, if the Buccaneers can pull this off and win a Super Bowl with Tom Brady at quarterback, he's done.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I
He
think
has nothing to come back
yeah,
for.
he has nothing to come back for, nothing to prove. He's done it on all levels, so it's time for somebody else to kind of come up and, you know, set precedents and start something. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
speaking of goats, though, I got a
Uh-oh.
question for the audience. We ain't got to answer this. We can just discuss it just for a minute. College football. We all know that this past Monday, Alabama won yet another college championship.
Mhm.
The question is Nick Saban the GOAT of college football coaches? That's the question. And this picture was amazing to me when I found it, because if you notice, people who really pay attention, this is actually a Photoshop picture of Michael Jordan's picture with the 6 rings. Now, Nick has 6 rings. So that's been the question the past couple of days. Is he the GOAT of college football coaches?
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
hey,
you tell us. Hey,
yeah,
you guys tell us.
it's an interesting conversation. It's a conversation that I'm telling you, you're going to hear in the next couple weeks and the next few years. I mean, if they're not already talking about it where you are, it's going to be a subject of discussion. So, hey, just
Yeah.
get used to seeing that and hearing that, because I'm telling you, you still have plenty of the top talent in the country lined up to go to Alabama. So they're going to continue their winning ways,
Yeah.
hands
I wonder,
down.
I wonder if someone that's married like 6 times, if they like keep all their wedding rings. I just
They're the GOAT of marriages. I don't know.
they could be like is it the Guam, the greatest of all marriages?
I don't know. They're definitely experienced. That I can tell you
Yeah. Yeah,
for sure.
I just wanted to throw that in there. I didn't know. I mean, it's like there's a marriage Super Bowl and
Wow.
okay,
You're
so
being very creative. That's some great ideas. We need to put a pin in that.
thank you. Okay, so yeah. So every week we profile a successful small business in our business spotlight, and this week we are shining a light on Bluist, founded by D. Claxton. Bluist is dedicated to lessening the complexities of starting and growing a business through the delivery of innovative and common sense solutions like one-on-one counseling and workshops. So, their mission is to help bridge the gaps in entrepreneurship and small businesses for innovators, disruptors, game changers, change makers, particularly women of color. To learn more about Bluist, visit mybluist.com. Yeah, the thing about that I love about doing the business spotlight is there are so many creative people that, they have businesses that, one, I probably would never even really think of. And two, the businesses that we do spotlight on here can probably not only help us in our business, but also help, someone else. But, me, I love entrepreneurship. So, to
Yeah,
have,
and a lot of the stuff that we highlight in our business spotlight, a lot of our viewers go and check it out or go and Google it, look it up,
hmm
and they actually try these products. So, like I tell the
yeah,
people that I talk to on a regular basis, if we're talking about a product and it's something that I've actually used or something they sent samples of, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. So, I mean, if I tell you it's good, I think it's good. If I don't say anything, then that's just what it is. Because I'm one of those people. If it's not a great product in my estimation, that doesn't mean that it's not good for you. So I don't want to
yeah,
skew your outlook on
yeah.
it by saying something negative. So I
Mhm.
would just rather for you to get your own experience with that product or with that whatever we're advertising.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of how I work with that.
Speaking of samples, you remember our last business spotlight was it was Wind and Soul, I believe that's what it is.
Hmm.
And you know how she does yoga, and they have these all natural products. And I'm all about all natural products. I'm a vegetarian, so I always try to eat just really, really good stuff. I try to just basically have a clean lifestyle. Well, anyway, she messaged me the other day and said she's going to be sending us some all natural products. So I got to
Mm.
make sure that I send them to you so we can kind of
Oh
talk
yeah,
about what we thought about them. So
definitely,
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
So if you would like to have your business featured in the business spotlight, you can go to our Facebook page, KUTC Live on Facebook. Click on the About section, fill out the little form, and we'll see about getting you on the business spotlight. So yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we have our guest today.
Yes.
So, our guests today are two former college roommates. They came together and created a brotherhood that soon evolved into them successfully finding a way to bridge the gap or the literacy gap in African American students. Welcome to the show, authors of The Right Way to Heal, Josh Bovill and Rodriguez. Is it no, Rodriguez? I got it. Rodriguez Hunter, right? Yeah.
Rodrekous. Yeah,
I got
yeah,
it. See,
it's a crazy
you know,
name, Yeah,
I was gonna, because I've been I don't know who, I know I've been communicating with you guys back and forth, and I was going to ask Josh how to pronounce your name. I said, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna research. So I found a video when you guys were first kind of launching and stuff, and I heard Josh say your name. I said, oh, I got it. I know how to say it now. But I think he called you Dreek, right?
yeah. That's for sure, Drake.
Okay. See, so I gotta see. I didn't even have to ask. Look at me being a big girl. But anyway, it's always a joy to see young men not only recognizing a problem in the school and or the community, but finding a creative way to solve that problem. And you guys did that. And so we always like to know the backstory of how business people come together. So tell us how and when you guys came together as friends.
Let me take that, Drake.
Yeah, I about to say you can start with that.
So, I met, as you know, part of the story, I met Drake at college. We were roommates, and I was actually his RA, and
Oh wow, the dorm.
yeah, yeah, I was his RA, and funny story is, I just remember like I don't know how it happened. We just started talking, and we started playing a game, and I learned that he was a rapper and he's a poet, and we just, I mean, if I don't, from the first time we met, I'm not even sure that this dude was ever a stranger. Like we just hit it off,
Wow.
and the rest was history. Like I had this idea, I wanted to start a poetry club on campus. Couldn't find nobody to do it at the time, so me and him end up starting it together, and it seems like from the day I met this dude, we've been like brothers almost.
Oh, that's awesome. It's awesome how like how the world just kind of aligns, or like this higher power just kind of puts people in the right place, and you meet that person that's going to travel on this journey with you to make a difference in the lives of people. And that person, you guys met in college, and so and I know in college sometimes it's hard for people to kind of cultivate relationships because you kind of go your separate ways. Like during spring break or whatever, you go your separate ways, you come back, and you never kind of find a way to just kind of have a relationship with someone. So it's good that you guys did that. And so right now, are you guys in the same city?
No, actually, we're not. I'm in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and Drake is in what they call Merck City, Drake.
Yeah,
Mark
I'm in
City, what's that?
Sumter. It's Sumter County, but we call it they call it Merck City. You know, we trying to change the narrative around here. So
Are you guys so how far away are you guys from each other?
probably like an hour and
Oh, that's not
15, hour
bad.
30. Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Oh, okay. So anyway, you guys came together and you guys wrote a book, The Right Way to Heal. And tell us about that. Tell us about the book.
So when the book came together, because my mom and my sister are both published authors as well,
Oh,
and
okay.
I've always been a poet. I really never had a desire to like necessarily write a book, and but what I always wanted to publish my poetry. And but what I started figuring out was just me personally as a poet, I knew for a fact even as a poet, I didn't find a lot of interest in wanting to read a book of poetry. And then and then just through, and I'll let Drake kind of elaborate on this part, but just through our friendship, he and I always talked about different things. And I mean, Drake's degree is in English, and he's a natural writer. Like the story, the whole concept of the story, that's all from his creative brain. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey man, I got this character, Dion Sanders, that he's not gonna be a football player. He's not gonna be an athlete. He's a poet. He's a writer. What can we do with this story?" And he started writing it, and then we'll go back and forth, and I would add some stuff, and then we'll put poems together that fit around the story, and the rest is history from there. And we've been working on it for almost 9 years now, off and on.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and I just want to publicly right now, I just want to pay an oath to Drake, because I challenged him with this idea, and he and I are very similar in the fact that we got way too many ideas, and sometimes we got so many ideas that we never. That's why it took us 9 years to write the book,
Oh,
because
Yeah,
wow.
we'll start something else and do something else, but he really took it upon himself to create this story and this character around. All the poems in this book are based off my personal life, and so you will see a lot of my personality and Drake's personality in this character. And I'll let Drake elaborate on that a little bit.
yeah. It's funny how like the whole book came together because I remember we used to have like these group meetings in the library. And one thing that happened was when Josh came to me about, about the idea, we used to, go like we used to be in the library thinking about ideas, thinking about how we can, create the story. Now, this story originally had three people who were supposed to be on the project. It's supposed to be me, Josh, and our other friend. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to expose him. But we were supposed to do like it was supposed to be like Dion Sanders, and it was supposed to be another character, and the story was supposed to be more
Brian
about
Baxley.
Brian Basley. It was supposed to be about bridging the race gap. Now that's what the story originally supposed to be about, but I remember I had finished Dion Sanders' story first because I was like, okay, you write chapter 1 and I'll write chapter 2, and we was gonna do it like that. So I got all the way to chapter 9. This guy did like 2 chapters, and he came up to me and he was like, "Yeah, man, I can't do it." I was like, "What you mean you
Oh,
can't do it?"
wow. Oh
And that's
my
why,
God.
yeah, and that's why it really took so long
That's the
because,
start of the how long?
yeah,
That's the start of the 9 years.
yeah, that's the start of the
Wow.
9 years. So we had to just reconstruct I had to take the story, and me and Josh just had to sit down and reconstruct the whole thing, basically. So
Wow.
Brian Bashley, he was out the story. We changed it from not being a race gap, but more about black empowerment and more about issues surrounding your ecosystem. So I figured that it would have been a better story like that anyway, because it showcased what we dealt with as when we was youth, and so we came together, and it took a while, but hey.
Now, Ken, you were going to say something I know about Dion Sanders, or
Well,
fill
that's
me in this little secret you guys have, because apparently I'm lost.
Well, that's what I found. I guess kind of ironic when you start reading the kind of like a summary of the book, and you see Deion Sanders, your mind automatically gravitates to Deion Sanders, the athlete. So when you
Yeah.
start reading further and you figure out, okay, this young man is not an athlete; he's a poet, and it's like totally opposite of it. But I looked at it as, okay, this young man is trying to be great in whatever arena he's in. So
Mhm.
that's the way my mind kind of went about it, and that's what I said. It was ironic because we were talking about football today, and then the story involves Deion Sanders, but not the Deion Sanders that we all know. Another Deion Sanders is trying to be great in another field.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way it was written that way intentionally, because I had actually posted something on Facebook either yesterday about, the myth for how African American boys can make it to a better life is they have to either be athletes or they have to be entertainers. And I'm speaking from experience, I'm a football coach and a teacher, and I love what I do, but I don't want any of my athletes, but especially my African American boys, to think that their only way to a better life is to play sports, because what we know is 97% of them won't play sports after high school. So when we started thinking about characters, Deion Sanders is one of my favorite athletes of all time. And I knew, well, if we name this character Dion Sanders, people are going to automatically associate that with an athlete. And then you read further on, you understand that Dion's not an athlete at all. He's the exact opposite of an athlete.
Exactly.
He's a very articulate young man. He's a great writer. He's a great poet. His teachers love him, and his teachers see potential in him. And this potential has nothing to do with his body, but his potential has everything to do with his mind.
So
Yeah.
Josh, you said loosely the book is about your life. Now, and I know I read a little bit about the stuff you went through as a child, but I didn't want to read too much because I wanted you to tell us about what was your childhood like. And same thing with you, Rodriguez. Like, why did I call you Rodriguez? I don't know. I'm gonna, you know
I
what,
know
I'm
you
gonna
can
call
call me
you,
that.
what do you call him? Okay,
It's
I
Drake,
didn't
but
want to.
you said it right. You said it right.
Okay, all right. So I wanted to kind of know. You said that is the book was based on your life. Tell us a little bit about your childhood.
So, just kind of give you perspective, the book isn't about my life. The poems that we used in the book were all those poems were taken from poems that I wrote throughout the course of my life. So you will see shades of Drake in some of the characters. You'll see shades of myself in some of those characters. Just to give you that perspective. Another perspective as well is you asked about my childhood, and then Drake can elaborate on his as well. Um, I grew up in a household where my mom, who and thank God she's been clean for a long time now. My mom is a published author as well, but she was a crack addict for 17 years. And I grew up in that type of environment. And it really shaped a lot about, even though my mom was an addict, I always looked at my mother like a black queen.
Oh,
And one thing that was super important that I've always learned that regardless of my circumstance, the only way that I got through what I got through was my journal that I used to keep with me. And every time, I didn't have my first drink until I was 21. I didn't have I've never smoked it in my life. I'm not knocking anybody that does, but my healing always came through my writing. And the poems that my journal was called The Right Way to Heal. and that's why we
Oh
named the
wow.
book The Right Way to Heal, because there was time where I remember my mom's car got repossessed, and instead of me going smoking and drinking, I wrote a poem about it, and that poem is in the book. Actually, I think that's the first poem in the book. Is it, Drake?
Yep,
About being poor, poor man's cry.
I believe
Yep.
that. Yeah, that's
Yep.
the
That's
first chapter.
and the poem, the book opens up with Dion writing in his journal, and his mom calls him down for breakfast. But my grandmother passed away. I wrote about it. Well, I have poems about my brother was shot when I was 6 years old. I carried my 8-year-old brother down a flight of stairs when he was shot in the back by a neighbor. And it's
Wow.
like all those things that Drake and I use, and Drake elaborate as well. We use our story to create this fictional story as well that other students can relate to and see that regardless of what your circumstance is, there's an opportunity for you to not only find success but also find inner healing.
So, Drake, you had the same sort of, maybe not experiences, but a similar childhood as Josh.
Yes, sort of. It's like I grew up in a CDV type of household, so
What's
it was
CDV?
always like domestic violence.
Okay,
I grew
gotcha.
up in a domestic violence household, so basically, um, I was being surrounded by that like every weekend, being surrounded by alcoholics, being surrounded by just drug dealers and things like that. Like a lot of that is in the story as well. But with me, it was one of those things where I had to find my way out. It was always I had to find my way out. Like ever since I was like a kid, people try to put me in the wrong path. They used to say, "Oh, this little kid, he gonna be this guy. He's gonna be one of the most gangsters kids there is, and stuff like
Yeah,
that." So they've been
yeah, it's
trying
kind of, yeah. When they see you doing good, they don't want you to do good. You got
yeah,
to go down the path they went down. Right.
yeah. So it's like in some instances, I remember when I was in the backyard with my brothers, and like we were smoking. And keep in mind, I'm 6 years old. So we like
Wow.
smoking.
Wow.
Yes. So we smoking a black, and this is like like the last time I smoked too, because I remember like it was like, yeah, I was trying to be cool, with
Well,
everybody
good for
else,
you.
and it was like inhale it, inhale it. I was like, man, I am inhaling it. They be like, no, you ain't. You just blowing it out. They be like, man, show them who you is. Show them who you is. I said, all right. So I said, man, I inhaled that thing. I was like, I was coughing. I thought I was about to die. I said, yup, that was the last time. But it's like things like that. Just even when ninth grade, and I feel like God been saving me too a lot of times. Like in the store, you have Mickey.
Oh, of course, of
Mickey is
course.
like the drug the like he sells drugs and stuff, and he's a child. You know what I'm saying? Well, he's not a child, but he's a teenager. And one thing with me was when I was in ninth grade, I used to dabble in selling drugs, like in school. But I used to make good grades too. So it was like
Wow.
I was a very sneaky person. And
Mhm.
one of the things that taught me was like I think a week before, matter of fact, I had got robbed one day, and I was contemplating on doing it. So that next week they brought the dogs to the school,
Oh
and
man.
I didn't have anything on me. So I was like, yeah, that's a sign for me to just chill out.
Yeah. It was too close there, too close to home.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can
So
see why, man, definitely, that you have a book. And poetry is poetry and rap, and in the African American culture, especially music, it's our outlet. And so I can see how you guys, based on your past lives, how you had to put the pen to paper, and to keep from getting in trouble. So tell me, what was like the aha moment when you guys figured that students, or just kids, could see themselves in like your book, or what they were reading and hearing, how they can, like, oh, you know what, I can relate to that. Like, what was the aha moment?
I think
well,
that it's a lot of aha moments I have. Um, Drake, I'll let you take the lead on it because I know he was about to say something right there.
Oh, I was about to say, because I feel like those kids are just like us. Like, even like right now, like the youth. I remember when I was at volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club. Those kids are not too far from me as a youth. Like, they talk to me the same way that I used to talk to older people. That's the same way they used to, that like they start talking to me. So I was like, man, well, they're not too far off from how I was as a youth. So I know that things that I say and things that that they could take, and it's like they take in more when we say it. It's like I remember when I was at the Boys and Girls Club, there was some some like peer leaders there that was trying to tell them, like, you can't do this and you can't do that and everything. And they're like, nah, I ain't listening to that. But once they see somebody, and it's almost as if it's like an energy where they can feel like, oh yeah, this person was from an environment that I came out of.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
they
They
didn't
can.
know me from a can of paint. Yeah, they could relate. And they could be like, all right, yeah, I could see that this dude right here, he's real. He's gonna tell it like it is. He done been through something. So I'm gonna make sure that I could listen to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
And to add to that, Drake, there's a lot of research and a lot of things that talk about the literacy gap with African American boys and kids. And there's a lot of different factors. And um, I know that what we're doing, we're not gonna close that gap at all, but we're gonna make strides. But for me, that the aha moment was where I knew when me and Drake started really ramping it up, last year, is just being a teacher and going to conferences and just different things. And the topic is always about, not always, but there's a lot of topics talking about what can we do, what can we do. You know, teachers actively trying to solve this problem. And what I started thinking about was the first book that I ever read was in seventh grade.
Mm.
So and
Wow.
and it was Tears of a Tiger by Sharon M. Draper. And when I started reflecting on that, the reason why I have never read a book before then, outside of my mom used to always read this book to me when I was younger, but it's because I never saw myself in the books that I was reading. I never could relate to the characters. And if it was a book I was reading, it was about slavery. And, it's
Yeah.
important we need to teach that and never forget that history. But I was tired of seeing stuff about my ancestors being beat down. And, I want to know more about, my history. I want to know more about, that's why you will see in the book, there isn't just I hate to use this word, but stereotypical black characters. You have,
Right.
Janie and Jamal, who are brother and sister. They come from a two-parent household, middle class, and they're great. That's why we didn't want anybody an athlete in the book to be athletes because we have enough examples of that.
Yeah.
Janie, well, this is not a spoiling thing, but Janie's an artist. Jamal is a chef. They have dreams and visions
Oh, wow. Yeah.
outside of being athletes, and I want my students to be able to see these examples. And I'm one of those people I've always been, when there's a problem, what kind of solution could we bring to it? And that's the reason why we, theme the book the way that we're theming it.
Now, I want to ask Drake something real quick, but then I want to come back to you, Josh. Now, Drake, you are a rapper, so it's kind of like rapper hits meets this poetry.
Yeah.
So, and and I thought I heard where with this book, there's also a album or something that comes with it with you rapping on it. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, man. We made a hip hop album.
Uh-huh.
Uh, it's called The Right Way. And one thing about this album that is very special to me is that it's lit, but it
I love how you
pertains
do
the right.
slang. You just be like in
Yeah.
his element. I love it. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. It's the language that we put in the album. It's like we don't use no cursing, we make sure
That's
that
great.
these kids get the best out the music, because you hear music nowadays. You know, I be hearing like the radio. I'm like, man, what's going on? Like all these kids listening to this stuff, and the stuff is not
Yeah.
positive enough to, you can have something lit and positive, and that's exactly what this album is.
Mhm.
So I'm excited about it. It should be we should be making a video. We got a video set coming soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
So next month, we're gonna have a video out to the song that I did called Right Way,
Uh-huh.
and it's a pretty lit song as well.
Now
And we
that's
also
just you on there, right? That's
hmm
just you on there. And then is it the music or the not necessarily the lyrics on there? Is it also about educating or teaching kids, or is it just to talk about what you went through and you know you teach the
yeah,
kids, or like how is it?
yeah, it's kind of like one of those
I'm not a
songs
rapper,
that
can y'all tell?
yeah, yeah. It's not like a hooked on phonics Dr. Seuss type of thing, but
It's real hip hop.
it's regular hip hop.
Hey, you
It's
know
like
what? I gotta know, and so do the other people that's watching this. They gotta know too.
oh yeah, yes man, I understand. Yeah, it's like it's one of those things where like the song sound like the baby could have made it.
What?
Basically, it's
What
like
you
one
say?
of those songs.
She don't
It
know
sound
who
like
any of these people are.
oh,
Oh, no, 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 no.
oh,
it's
You
a
know what?
it's a
You know
new
what?
it's a newer repertory. His
Oh,
name is
okay.
the baby. And what I was going to correct you on earlier
Oh,
is you said this man's a poet and he's also a rapper. So it's like rapper meets poet, rapper, same
it's
thing. They
all the
create.
same thing.
Yeah. So if he's a
Okay. You know
rapper,
what?
he's
I'm
he's a
learning.
poet in
Okay.
his own way. He's a
Okay.
poet in his
No,
own way.
no. See, I wasn't. No, no, no. I wasn't gonna. I was like, what? I thought you. I was just asking him about, if the song was like educational, but then he said baby, so
Mm.
I thought he said it was baby making. I was like, wait, what?
oh no, we can't have that for the
So
kids.
I'm like, wait,
That's
hold on. See,
yeah.
that's why I got Big Ken, so he can help me. All right, so
Yeah, I
okay.
Oh
serve as a
yeah,
buffer. I serve as a buffer sometimes.
yeah.
Just try to help her out.
And
I
all the
understand.
hey, Drake, did you tell us well, like the album is all the songs on the album come from either a chapter or two or three chapters are from the book. So every in the song, like the album has skits on it as well.
Oh
Like
wow.
it provides you a snippet of the book because we're using the album as a hook because
Oh,
like
okay.
once again we're targeting all kids, but we really want to target African American boys who want to read this book. And when they hear the
Okay.
album, it leaves them kind of on a cliffhanger about what happens next. And it'll say, if you want to know what happens next, you gotta read the book.
Okay. Now, Josh, now you're a teacher and you're in the face of students every day, so you have a front row seat in terms of seeing what students struggle with and how you can solve the problem as well. Do you use your book in your classroom, or will you use your book in your classroom?
That's actually a great question because part of what we're doing with the release of um, the book and the nonprofit is on March the 7th when we release the book, we're going to be hosting a workshop for teachers.
Oh,
And
okay.
our goal is to get this book into schools. And we've actually started writing lesson plans that's going to be centered around the book. I've been working with, I hope she's watching this, but I've been working a lot with an English teacher at my school, Dr. Whitty. She is a champion for all students, especially our African American students. And she's a dynamic lady. And she's put me together like some core standards, some
Oh,
curriculums and things like that
awesome.
that we're going to be using a book. And I met with a middle school yesterday, Carver Middle School, met on the phone about using this book as well at their school. So that's one of our goals is we want this book to be in every school so that teachers can use it because here's the thing, if you give these students a book like this that they can listen to a hip hop album and talk about themes that that's a literacy standard and talk about character development, all these things but you say, hey, let's listen to this hip hop album first. What do you
Yeah.
think students are going to do? They're going to be so much drawn into it.
Yeah, I know that it's funny how hip hop has evolved because you don't look at it more of like it's just for black people or black students. Hip hop is in McDonald's commercials. Hip hop is just everywhere, and you
Hmm.
really can't tell a story like you said. I know poet and rapper. You really can tell a story, and I can definitely see the story coming out to kids who are not of color in this book. But what I want to ask both of you guys is, do you think that black students have to be taught a different way than white students?
I from a teaching point of view, I think that every student requires something different.
Hmm.
So black students are going to need certain things depending on their home life, depending on their community that they're coming from, depending on their current educational level. Teachers, and I'm blessed to be in a really progressive school where our principal is really big about making sure that we're differentiating our instruction, making sure that
Oh,
we don't just talk about our lesson plans. We have meetings and stuff about, hey, what is this kid going through at home? Because that's going to dictate how they learn. That's going to dictate, before a kid come in your classroom and you tell them, hey, give me your homework. It's how was your day? How, what are what was your night like last night? I have
mhm.
plenty of students, and there's plenty of students across this nation, especially African American students, that they come to school and they don't want to learn. It's not because they don't want to learn, it's because they don't have a relationship with that teacher. You know,
Right. Yeah.
I was when I was younger, I was a pretty terrible kid. and but I had teachers along the way that really put and poured into me, and principals that poured into me. And when you pour into a kid, they'll pour back into you. So I know that was a long way to answer, but yes, every kid should be taught differently because every kid has a different set of needs.
No, yeah, no, no. I mean, I think long and detailed answers are really good because, when I like detail, and so I don't even worry about that. I'm glad you said that because it's hard to ask someone a question and when they answer it, it's just straight to the point. I may not learn anything from that. And one of the things about this show is always learning. We want people to learn and be informed. So I know you guys have more than a book. You guys are in essence kind of building an empire, for yourselves. You have there's the right way, the hip hop album. I think you guys are launching a nonprofit. You have the foundation. Tell us, kind of about what you guys are, the empire you guys are building, because people don't. I mean, I want people to know you guys are more than just this book that you guys have written.
Hmm. Yeah, it's more of in the standpoint of like, matter of fact, when me and Josh came up with a nonprofit, it was kind of something where we just was creative enough to be like, you know what, we got a hip hop album, we got a book, um, we might as well see if we could do a nonprofit with it as well, and then expand it because if with our minds we can do a lot with that, and I feel like with how we want to help people in general
Yeah.
can gravitate to a lot of charity works, a lot of just helping the community, a lot of just black empowerment, a lot of just empowerment. Period. So I
Hmm.
just feel like those are the things that propel the Right Way Foundation, and I feel like this is literally just the beginning. So if we can do a book and in a hip hop album, and it's only a matter of time to tell that what else we can do. Like it can be like a recreation center or a
Yeah.
library or things like that. So
Oh yeah. So on March 7th, you guys are going to release this book, The Right Way to Heal. Where's it going to be? Where can we get it?
So the distribution wise, is the book will be anywhere that you can purchase a book, from Barnes and Noble, Amazon, on the Right Way, rightwayfoundation.org. You can purchase it there as well. Also, we'll be doing on our website as well. Our goal is to do bulk orders for schools or
Okay.
nonprofit organizations that serve at-risk youth. And there's a link on our website, rightwayfoundation.org. When you purchase and you're a nonprofit organization like us, or you're a school serving at-risk youth, then there's actually 50% off when you bulk order on
Oh,
the
okay.
website as well.
Is it available for pre-order, or we have to
Yep,
wait
and
till March?
Mhm.
Okay.
no, if
Pre-order.
you go on the Right Way Foundation website, it's there for pre-order, and it's there for pre-order on Barnes and Noble and Amazon as well right now.
All right. Well, thank you, Josh and Drake, for inspiring so many
Hold
around.
on.
Oh,
Before
oh,
we
I'm
get
sorry.
out of here,
Oh,
before we get
I'm
out of
sorry.
here,
Yeah, stop me, because I'll ask questions and just kind of keep
I
going. Okay, go ahead.
I gotta tell these brothers. First and foremost, my first degree was in education, so kudos to Josh in that field, and kudos to Mr. Drake for crafting his art and y'all coming together to put something together amazing. And I think it's
Yeah.
amazing for our youth. But I'm just telling you from my vision, this is what I see. I see it's a series.
Yeah.
This book in this CD. And
Hmm.
this album, it's gonna be a series, man. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. I'm just putting that out there because I want to see
Yeah.
more of things like that for children of color in general.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? And other children out there who can relate to these situations in the book.
Hmm.
And a lot of children right now, that's the way they feed themselves with the music. So if you
Yeah.
got something that could accompany the book, that could draw them in, hey, this is the album, but it got a book too. So
Yeah.
listen to the album, but go check out the book. They're more than likely to go check out that book now that they heard that music. So I think that's a great concept, and I want you brothers to keep executing it because, like you were saying earlier, Josh, it might not change the whole narrative right now, but it's changing a little bit, and that's what we need, that spark. Maybe somebody else can see this interview or see something that you guys are doing and be inspired by it. You never know. The kids that you all are showing right now might be inspired by it, and they might be able to make it grow even larger.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh,
it's a
yeah, for
whole
sure.
movement, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
you guys doing this type of stuff,
Thank
man.
you all for taking out the
Appreciate
time,
y'all.
bro.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely appreciate you guys for just inspiring so many around you, and just being brave enough to be part of solving this
Yes,
illiteracy problem in the African American community and beyond.
yes.
So, thank you guys so much for being on the show. And for those of you that are watching, to learn more about the right way to heal, visit rightwayfoundation.org. Again, thank you so much, Dreek and Josh, for being on the show.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Right. All
That's
right.
awesome. That's really awesome. And as you were talking and stuff, it just reminded me of this video that I saw, and it was a lady, and she was teaching her. She was a black lady, and she was teaching her son how to do the alphabet. And so, like most kids, when he got to L, he was like elemento, like it's just one letter. And as you was talking, I can see them also teaching kids, the alphabet, or by rapping it, or a poem about it. But so, I'm so it's always so good just to see young men, young educated men, uh, just educating the world. I
Yeah.
think, and it starts in the community, and
Yes, that's
that's
the
a good
biggest
point.
piece.
Yeah,
Coming back from college and going back to the neighborhoods in which you came up in, and actually
yeah,
contributing back to the areas which you came from. And if everybody does that same thing, and we keep sending kids off to college, and even if
mhm,
they don't come back to live in the neighborhood, if they pour back into the neighborhood that they came from, things will improve for the kids in the upcoming generation. So that's a big look. That's a great thing that they're doing. And like I said, I want to see a series of the books and the
yeah,
albums because I'm
yeah,
going to support them. I have kids, I have boys, so
yeah.
I'm definitely going to be looking. Like I said, I actually went and looked for it and saw that it wasn't
Uh-huh.
out yet.
Yeah,
I was like, because I was
yeah,
going to buy it and
yeah.
read it and listen to the
Well,
album, but I saw
we got to go
everything.
to their site and see how
Yeah,
we can pre-order it, because I wasn't sure, but I read enough books, and I know that a lot of times you can pre-order a book. And so
yeah,
yeah,
I'm an
think,
Amazon guy. Not
yeah,
advertising for Amazon, but I got a
but just
Prime account,
saying,
so
yeah.
I went to
Bam.
Amazon to check it out, and it's there, so you can go through Amazon and you can order it as well. You can pre-order it on Amazon. the book and the album. So my suggestion for you people, even if you don't have kids, even if you have just kids around you or kids in your life at all, go pick up the album and the book, support these
Yeah.
brothers, and show them what it's all about.
Yeah. You know what else I liked? I liked how Dreek and Josh said that growing up or when they were working on this book, or like how Dreek said he was at the rec center or at the I think the Boys and Girls Club, and Josh talked about being around kids, and he realized that they realized the same way that these kids were talking to them is the way they talked to the people that were around them, and it was also part of helping them develop the layout or the plan for this book. It was almost like a circle.
Yeah.
It's like I did this and I see this kid doing this. How are we gonna stop this? And then I think it was Josh who said that he didn't read his first book until what was he in the seventh
Seventh
grade?
grade. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I'm sure he knew at the time reading his first book in the seventh grade that wasn't the right
I
thing. That
mean,
wasn't.
maybe not, but you know what? In a lot of neighborhoods, like these kids don't understand that because they're not being taught that. When they go to school, they're being taught how to take a test,
Right.
versus
Yeah.
like the same things we were taught. Like go to the library, get a book. You have what I'm saying, these different programs that reward you for actually reading and things of that
Yeah.
nature. So we had incentives to go and actually pick up a book and read. And there's not many programs out there like that being pushed for these kids. So again, this thing that they're doing gives these kids a reason or a draw to actually listen to that music and read that book. And like I said, if they come out with a series, I think it'll do very
It'll
well.
do very, very well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because these kids are looking for the music. I'm telling you, the music
Yeah.
is the
The
key to
kids
a lot of
and
stuff.
yeah, the
Yeah,
kids and the educators,
yeah.
like you said, you were an educator and you know that a lot of times, it's almost like, hey, when you ask a kid to do something or read a book or where they don't want to read it, well, but if you like put the music to it, then, and
Well,
it's just teaching them how
well,
to enjoy.
this reminds me of when we were in elementary. Now that you're saying that, because my teacher had a series of tapes that dates me, of cassette tapes that it was rap, and it was kind of like a Curtis Blow, simple kind of 1 2 3 4 type rap, and it
Yeah.
was it was multiplication and what I'm saying, division and stuff like that. Like it was teaching you that concept, but because it was music, we picked it up. And a lot of
Hmm.
times we would find
Yeah.
ourselves on the playground or going home and singing those songs, but not
Yeah.
knowing that we were learning something in the process and something that would stick with us.
Isn't
So
that
these,
crazy?
yeah, so
Wow.
these stories that they're telling through the music and to accompany the book is going to be amazing, because these kids are going to be not only able to see themselves in these
Mhm.
characters and these situations, but they're going to be able to relate to some good music as well. So
Oh
it's a
yeah,
dope concept.
it is. It really is,
Hmm.
and it's also just a great way to teach and on the flip side learn. So
Yep.
yeah, kudos
Yep. Yep.
to
Yep.
Josh and Drake for um their book and album. So
For
on
sure.
next week's show, we're gonna have a chat with Judy Skilling. She's a Navy veteran and now a high performance coach for military and veteran entrepreneurs. So I can't wait to talk to her. She has such a soft face, but she does this high performance coaching. But
That's going to
I
be
love
interesting.
that is, but I love women in military. I don't know, I guess because I didn't go. So, I'm living vicariously through them. Like, oh yeah, they could fight, so could I.
Possibly.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, so next week we'll have Judy on the show. Remember, if you'd like to have your company to be in the KUTC Business Spotlight, send us a message on Facebook at KUTC Live. You can also catch KUTC Live right here on Facebook every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Or if you missed the show, click on the link on KUTC Live on Facebook or visit blacklineentertainment.com. So, every week we end the show with a positive quote. What's this week's quote? This week's quote: struggles are required in order to survive life, because in order to stand up, you got to know what falling down is like. Until
Yes,
next
ma'am.
time.
Make sure you all keep up the conversation.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Follow keeping up the conversation on Facebook at KUTC Live.